Welcome to Dads with Nerdy Ambitions, your go-to podcast for nerd culture, pop culture, 21st century. I'm your host, Steve Pugh, and join with me today is a special guest host. He is from my side job, my side podcast, the International Taverns of Players. I have the wonderful, the amazing Pete with me today. Pete, how are you doing, good sir?
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah?
Yup.
Doing swell?
Yeah, couldn't be better.
So I have brought Pete on to talk about something that I'm not I have some knowledge on it. I am familiar with the game. However, my knowledge is minimal. And so we're going to be talking about Magic the Gathering today, as well as, just kind of grazing over what it is, why it's so popular, and just there's so much interesting things to this that it can be overwhelming. Like, it's not just a card game. It is a collector. It is an art decor. It is a black market of selling and buying. It is so much. And a company, and this is a card game made by, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Wizards of the Coast, not, yes. So, but before we get into this, let's learn a bit about you, good sir. Pete, thank you for being on the other side of the podcast. Now, Nyx has already been on here, so she kind of beat you to the punch, which it's all good. It happens. But yeah, good sir. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I've been playing Magic probably for the better part of a decade now.
Okay.
I'm quite nerdy. I do D&D with you and a few other D&D stuff.
Yeah.
I play LARP. I help out at a thing called Fantasy Forest, where I volunteer, which is another nerdy everything. So if you like metal nerdery, fish nerdery, falconry nerdery, covering people in body paint and glitter nerdery, it's all there. It's amazing.
You've done and you have quite the history too. I remember you sit down and talk to me about working with Protos Games and everything, yes. And then let me go on my disgruntled tangent of my frustration with Protos and their product.
No, you didn't threaten to punch me. We're fine. I used to work in their accounts department, tallying numbers, and occasionally you'd go to a show and somebody would threaten you.
Always fun.
Well, they'd do it when I was sitting down, and then I'd stand up and they would realize I'm like 2 or 3 inches taller than them and about 5 stone heavier than some. But no one actually threw a punch, so
that's always nice. That's always nice. So you definitely do a lot of Magic Gathering, but you are also a member of the ITOP, the International Tavern Players. You are quite the D&D connoisseur too, good sir.
Don't know what you're on about.
What edition did you start in?
To be honest, 5th.
Did you really?
Kind of, yeah, because I played other role-playing games before I played D&D. Technically, I think I played 3rd once, or 2nd edition once.
Really?
But then when I came to actually play D&D, I'd played like Werewolf, Vampire, the old Star Trek RPG, the old Star Wars RPG, and
oh my God,
some random semblance of detrituses of online role-playing games.
Okay. Now, did you get into role-playing games through LARP or LARP through RPGs?
LARP through D&D, but technically through Nyx, my partner. She came to play D&D with us, or came into the store, wanted someone to play D&D with. One of my fellow, or one of the players in my group said, "Oh, you can join us. Our DM's nice." That would be me. She joined. We got on. A few weeks went by. She's like, give me a phone call and goes, "Oh, I'm going LARPing tomorrow. Do you fancy coming along?" I was like, "Yeah, okay, I'll give it a whirl." I did that, and then about £2,000 later worth of stuff, I now LARP.
I think my oldest son is starting to get into LARP. like, or at least cosplaying, because we've been doing because for Halloween and everything, we really decked our costumes out this. And like
Yeah,
I think this is the last year that he'll ever like buy a costume, because he
yeah.
saw what I had and he looked at his Halloween costume and he's like, oh, this is not nearly as cool. I'm like, all right, dude, next time we'll make sure to do you up the way you want to do it. And so he's like all into it. So looking, birthday when it comes around, looking at getting him stuff. He wants to make his own costumes. And I think he's starting to go down that dark path of into LARPing, and D&D got him into everything. I think
Yeah.
it's the gateway drug.
If you want to keep your kids away from drugs, get them into D&D, magic, and LARPing.
Yes.
They'll never have money.
I made the joke. Like my wife had asked me if I was cheating on her, or if I would ever cheat on her, and I said, when would I have the time or the money between a podcast and what I pay in 40K games? I don't have the time or the money. So
I wish I didn't know that feeling. But
well, I wish you could see I'll have to send you pictures and everything. The amount of Warlock tiles items that I have now sitting up on my so I have an Alpha Firma gaming table. It's a 6x4 like fold up table. It's absolutely amazing. I have the Icons of the Realm tower. I have the Yawning Portal. I have probably close to 3 boxes of Town and Village, 2 boxes of the dungeon, plus insert assorted amount of various. There's a lot of money in war. WizKids fund me, please. I'm begging you.
Yeah. So I've gone a slightly cheaper route. I've gone and got all the maps that fold out.
Yes.
So you can, but outside, what we've done is we've made a 8-foot by 4-foot dining table outside. So one, when family come around for barbecue, there's space. 2, you can get a full-size game of 40K on there and have plenty of space for your armies on the end when they die.
Then you don't have enough miniatures if you have plenty of space. There should never be enough room. You're obviously not playing the right armies.
Yeah, I've stopped playing Horde.
I used to play Tyranids, and I didn't play them Horde. I was not a swarm player. I was Godzilla style. I liked my big scary monsters, and that always threw off anybody whenever they said I was playing Nids. Now I have a Necron army that's my wife's, when she occasionally plays. I have a ton of armies. I have like dabbles in each. I think I have about 2,000 points minimum for each faction out there.
Okay. No, I've just had a big sell-off.
Did you?
No, I've just had a big sell-off because I hadn't played them for so long. But my original army was an Orcs and Goblins army.
All right.
What I mean to say, sorry. No, before, like proper Warhammer.
Okay. Yeah, fantasy. All right.
Yeah. Warhammer Fantasy. It was Orcs and Goblins. I mean, goblins.
Yeah.
There were very few orcs, unless they were in charge of goblins or nurglings. The little
snotlings.
Snotties. Little snotling. Yeah. And better part of over 1,000 miniatures.
I have no doubt about that. That's disgusting. It's my problem is, and this is why I don't sell off, because every time I do, I end up rebuying them. So I just put them in a box and I put them in my closet, and then I can forget about them. And then when I have that urge to play them again, I know the box is in there. I don't have to worry about repurchasing. It's terrible.
I'm gonna, if I do it, me and Nick's are doing it together because we said we would, and we're gonna do it properly this time.
There you go. Yeah, just get a 2-player starter set, and do it that way.
No, we're gonna get like proper art. Like we're gonna go. I'm looking at Nids myself.
Yeah. Oh yes. I love the monsters. Love the monsters.
Yep. And she keeps changing her mind. So
my wife, so Jackie, got into it because she wanted to paint some of my miniatures, because she paints on the side. She does like canvas art stuff. And I had handed her a bunch of miniatures and she started painting them. She's like, oh, cool. You got any more? And I'm like, if you want to paint, we're going to get your own team. And she saw the Necrons and she goes, ooh, I like the pretty green color. All right, go for it. And this was back in sixth edition. She started playing,
Yeah.
and she dabbles here and there. And me and little dude were pretty adamant. I think honestly, I've only played a couple games in ninth. But yeah, it's fun. So you play Pip. I'm trying to segue back a little bit
Yeah.
to
Sorry.
us as we went on our little tangent.
Yep.
You play Pip.
Yes.
Um, what made you decide to go with a turtle, and what made you decide? How did you pick Pip?
How did I pick Pip? Well, I did all the stuff that you told me to set it up, and I was like, "What are you missing?"
Yeah,
Right?
they're
Because
like Claire.
they needed, yeah, they needed someone that could give life points and take a beating. Roll on Pip. Um, I, so I don't know how many groups you've ever joined, but if I join a group, I will fulfill the required slot.
Hmm.
Like I joined a different group and they required a rogue, so I'd take a rogue. They needed someone up front that could like dish out damage and take some damage, so I made a barbarian, and I'll make what is required and I'll have fun. Doesn't matter if you say we need a wizard with no offensive spells, it'll be the most fun wizard with non-offensive spells that I can put together.
Yeah, you try to come up with something clever.
Yeah,
I
fun.
I
No, I,
absolutely love that.
no, I try to avoid clever because I'm pretty not smart, but fun I can do.
You can do. I
Yeah.
I just create. So I want to get him in a game,
Yeah.
but I created an orc wizard, and I've
Uh-oh.
named him Larry Blotter, and he's Fey
Uh-huh.
touched. So like basically some type of Fey came up to him and told Larry that he's a wizard. You're a wizard,
Yeah.
Larry. So he he's and I rolled good. I rolled good. Like, he has an 18 for wisdom, or what is it? Intelligence, whatever his spell
Intelligence.
count.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he has an 18 for intelligence, and he's Fey touched. So he has a 19 for intelligence starting off. And I and so to kind of keep with his like being an orc, I gave him he's evocation. He's an evocation wizard, so he's gonna do like fireball and stuff like that. I originally was gonna do him like I think uh conjurations, like he was gonna conjure stuff, like bring stuff into being and everything. But I was like, nah, orky smash. So he it's I can't wait to get him into to a game. And then I was inspired by your turtle, and I did a snapping turtle barbarian.
Yeah.
And I got this really wicked awesome model that I got coming. I got off Etsy, and it's got skulls on spikes on his shell. And I was like, oh, but oh man, it's so much fun. Um, how did you come up with the character style of Pip?
I went with what I knew.
So Booze, you know. Did I tell you I'm making mead, by the way?
Ooh, ooh. I might have to come visit you.
Yeah, well, you and Nix are more than welcome to come anytime. But I'm doing for the first time. I'm making mead. I've made beer before, but I've never made mead.
Well, hang on. How did your beer making go?
Very well, actually. First time, it came out a little flat.
Okay.
Yes, no, first time was a little flat. Still tasted all right, just tasted like flat beer.
Yeah.
Second time, I got the art down, and it came out really well. And then the third time I got ballsy, and I did a stout, and it was all right. And the fourth time, I only did it like 6 times, I think. And then I moved.
Okay.
But I quite enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
And then we've been doing because my guys do Monsters and Mailmen, they bring mead. And I'm like, I want to make my own mead. How hard can it be? And I looked it up, and it's really not that hard.
Yeah.
It's honey, water, yeast, and then if you want other flavors, add it in.
Yeah. Making beer technically isn't very difficult to do.
No,
but to get it tasting nice, getting it tasting nice, that's
my problem was getting the carbonation, like getting it to actually like carbonate. Like it
Yeah.
had good flavor. I don't remember if its alcohol content was potent, I just remember it being flat beer. Like it had carbonation when it started, but it lost carbonation.
Yeah.
So it was what it was. Um, so I'm excited for that.
But yeah,
Uh,
so when I say I know beer, basically I was born into the pub trade. My parents had pubs till I was
why am
25,
I not
26,
surprised?
which is why when you ask me questions, oh yeah, I had a friend that did that, so I helped them for a week or two. It's because we knew lots of people come in the pub and they're like, Pete, what are you doing tomorrow? And I'd be like, nothing. Do you want to come do this with us? All right.
Well, you forced my hand. Let me go make beer. Oh, woe is me. So,
Oh
ladies and
man.
gentlemen, just so you know, Pete here has like quite arguably more stories than I have. And I did 10 years in the Navy. I got all these great sailor stories. Pete's like, yeah, I did that for a while. Oh, yeah, I definitely went and I worked at a zoo and wrangled
No,
orangutans or something.
I
Did
didn't.
you work at
Did
a
not
zoo?
work. No, I didn't.
I was gonna
I volunteered. I helped one of my mates out on a like wildlife farm thing with some interesting animals, but I
say,
never
of
worked
course
in a
you
zoo.
did. I was just
Oh
being an ass.
no, it's there's like Hatton Park's not far from here, and he
Yeah.
was the guinea pig wrangler for a while.
I'm sorry, guinea pigs?
Guinea pig wrangler.
Like the
So
little the hamster
yeah, so
things. Yeah.
you have like an area you can walk into, and it's for the kids, and you can pet guinea pigs. You can like pick them up and pet them.
Yeah.
But what would happen is because they're kids, they don't put them back in the area that you're supposed to put them back in.
So
So
you
they'll
would
put
have
them on
to
the floor or somewhere. And his job was just to make sure that if there were 20 guinea pigs there at the start of the day, there was 20 guinea pigs there at the end of the day.
how many did you guys honestly lose to like okay, so I don't know the predatory system in the UK, but I'm assuming you have large birds like
Yeah, we do. No,
hawks.
that was all covered over. You couldn't get to them. But the
Okay.
problem was the kids would like walk off with one, or you're like, no, little Timmy, please give that back. And also, guinea pigs have no natural survival instinct.
I,
Like, oh, I can climb this. Oh, doesn't look like a far drop. You're 6 feet in the air. How did you get up there? Whee! So,
oh, that's great. I hate guinea pigs. I do. I absolutely detest them
I hear they
because of
taste
that
nice.
that drives me crazy. I've
No,
had
no,
guinea
I hear.
pig. I've actually had
I
it.
haven't.
I had it in South America. And
Nice.
uh they were like, here, eat this. And I was like, this isn't cat, is it? And they're like, no, it's not dog, right? And they're like, no. And I'm like, all right, munching on it. They're like, it's guinea. And they're like, they said the word for, guinea pig and everything. I was like, oh, all right, whatever. And I just kept munching on it. And they're like, bro, you're eating a giant hamster. I'm like, yeah, but it's not a cat or dog, so I'm good.
See, you see, you just stopped at cat or dog. I'm like, no, that's fine. Cat, dog, whatever. It's meaty, right?
I have, when I was in South Africa, I had kudu, impala, warthog. Dude, let me tell you, warthog, it's like steak. Oh, so good. So
It's
good.
like boar, but better.
Yeah. What is it about talking about food? David, I had on in last week's episode, we sat there talking about like lasagna and various Thanksgiving foods. I know you guys don't celebrate. Think it would be weird. You guys celebrate Thanksgiving
Yeah.
in the UK because I was going to ask that. What'd you do for Thanksgiving? What's that?
We look at the colonial people or the old colonial people and go, oh, it's nice, really.
Dude, you gotta love our holidays. Most of them are designed around food and being lethargic.
Yeah, I
Like
do. Apart from you like fireworks a lot, and they scare the crap out of me.
yeah, no, we like to watch things go bang.
Yes,
A lot.
yes, you do.
That's why Michael Bay does so good in the United States. That's why he keeps getting movies. We like explosions. So
I know. I like Michael Bay. No. I love Michael Bay. I love the movies. But it's just like when fireworks go off here, Nick knows that my headphones go up really loud. She's got no chance of communicating with me.
I feel you. I feel you. So let's get into tonight's subject, good sir.
Yes,
We
sorry.
have welcome to the show. So we are talking about Magic the Gathering. For people who aren't familiar with it, and I've learned not to say for anybody who's not living under a rock, because my wife watched Ghostbuster for the first time like 2 years ago. And that's because I was like, hey, let's watch this. So there are lots of people out there, especially that even listen to the podcast, that have no idea about stuff. Magic the Gathering is this really neat card game that has been around since 1993. I believe was the year it came out.
Yes.
And it is this elemental fantasy based game where spells, creatures, and items are associated around, if not one, multiple colors of mana or lands. So you have your reds, greens, blues, whites, and blacks, which I think is, what is it? Swamps, plains, mountains, forests. Which one am I missing?
Islands.
What? Islands. Yes. Oh, I forgot blue. So everything is based around that. You have 20 hit points starting off, if I'm correct, or is it 40?
In
standard?
Depends on what format.
Oh yeah, there is multiple plays. Yes, there is multiple playing of this game. So let me, before I get into that, because yes, this can be a deep dive there. And it's basically player versus player, or player versus up to 4. I believe is the commander is up to 4.
Technically, I've played in games where 7 people have been sat around a table.
All right, then. So a minimum of 1v1. How about that?
Yeah, two people is usually your minimum.
Yes, 2 people is your minimum.
And
it is a huge fandom of a game. It is highly competitive. There's live shows. There's huge gaming competitions. It's, and even if you're not a player, the art decor on these cards is absolutely phenomenal, and you can collect it and even make actually like displays.
I currently am doing in the garage as we speak.
Are you? That's awesome. And then you can be a seller. You can buy, like, you can be somebody who collects these cards and then looks for valuable ones and sells them. It is a fandom inside a hobby.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So that's a general gist of it. What am I missing here? You are the guru on this.
Guru may be pushing it a little bit. I've won a couple of things. I've lost a few things. I do all right. But yeah, it's a fun game. It's relatively easy to learn. I say that because I did, and I can teach it to other people. But also, it gets as complicated as you're willing to make it. And there's rules on top of rules. So if you go to certain events, there's like RLE, rules level enforcement. So you've got casual, which is very low rules, and then you've got there's like competitive rules enforcement, and there's like a couple in between. So it's rules as they are, or actually this is for beginners, so you've made a mistake there, let's go back and sort this out. So it's like when you're discussing the lands and the colors, it's sort of like each one has their own emphasis. That's the word I was looking for. So like you have white is, you can't do that, so they'll stop you doing a thing, which is different from blue, which is also stop you doing a thing, but they'll counter it. So if you try and cast a spell, they'll go no, whereas white just goes, you can't do that anymore. Black will just try and destroy everything and bleed you for life. Red burns you. Literally, there are cards that says burn on them. And green, if you like big scary monsters, they're the good ones. And then you can any variation of those, so you can mix the colors as you wish and make a deck.
I used to make a black and green deck. I liked my monsters and I liked making people bleed.
Golgari, yes. yeah. That's the name for that pairing. Each pairing, each triple, each 4 has certain names and
I did
pairings.
Know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's that boring. I'm not going to inform you of them all. Because I wish people would listen rather than switch off. But if you are the sort of person who likes to stop people having fun, white and blue is a very good combination, because not only do you stop them from being able to do something, you can stop them after they've tried to do something. So, stop everyone having fun. Or you can go black red and kill everything and then burn things. So, whatever floats your boat.
There you go.
Yeah.
What makes it, why is this? Because this, all right, so this game has legitimately been around for what? Almost 30
years.
Yeah, 28 years. I was going to say almost 30. So
yeah.
Why is it so popular? What is it about this game that there's 1,000 different card games out there now? There's Pokemon, there's Yu-Gi-Oh, there's, I mean, hell, Transformers, it has a Star Wars. Everybody has a card game out there.
Yes.
Why is this one still the reigning champ?
Because of the backing it gets. So if I, like tomorrow, I'm going to go to F&M, Friday Night Magic. And when me and some friends were talking about it, we jokingly said, oh, we're going to do a show in Russia, possibly. Oh, I bet you, and I said, oh, well, let's go to F&M. Well, there won't be one in Russia. So in the town that we were in, or we were going to be in, the establishment at F&M was going to take part 200 yards away in, not Moscow, I think we might have been in Moscow for that. Or we were supposed to go to a show in Moscow and then other things happened. We then had a look in Sweden. And the show that we were doing in Sweden, I'd like to go to F&M because I'm a bit of a junkie for Magic. And then we're like, oh, what happens if it's miles away? And again, it was half a mile away. It was like, okay, let's try some really ridiculous places. So we didn't visit these places, but we were like, where can we go in Israel? There are 6 places in Israel you can play F&M on a Friday night.
That's awesome.
Or at the time there was, I don't know now, but it's like,
so you could literally time zone hop and play Magic, Friday Night Magic, for quite literally 48 hours. Because I mean, in theory, yes, time different, like travel and everything, but like you could go and play.
I didn't check for every time zone, but I reckon if you did it right, you could probably play Magic for 24 hours non-stop in different countries.
That's nuts. That's awesome.
It's terrifying, yeah.
Oh my God, that's it. It's
everywhere.
How do they keep it? But so how do they keep it fresh? How do they make this game interesting?
Right. So have a thing called Standard, which is, and it basically, rough guidance, anything released in the last 2 years, 18 months, roughly. It sometimes it's a little less than that, but and then so as cards go out, new cards come in because they release a new set every 3 months. So you have new cards to play with to add to your deck, and so if you have a mono black deck or a black green deck, there are cards you can no longer use in Standard, but there are new cards coming in that you can use in their place, possibly, or you just have to make whole new decks. But then what they had for a while was a thing called Modern, which is anything after 8th edition and up to now, is you play in this format. So rather than your cards becoming worthless after they left Standard, you then have Modern. And it's a bit more expensive to get into, but there's less card rotation. So it's more costly to start, but less costly to stay in theory.
Okay.
And then you've got these other ones that are older than 8 called Vintage and Legacy, where if you have both of your kidneys and don't need one of them, you could possibly get into that. And then somebody invented another one called Pauper. So I don't know what cards you're familiar with, but other systems have like rare, uncommon, common, and there's mythic rare as well. So there's 4 rarities of cards, and what they did is invented Pauper, and you can now play it with the common cards. So most common cards are, because they're common, aren't very useful, or they're not as good as an uncommon rare or mythic rare card. So they draft chaff or throwawayable cards. But then somebody made a format for commons, and suddenly cards that were worth nothing, like to you guys like 3 cents, right, are worth $3, which doesn't sound like a lot until you go, hang on, I've got 20 of these.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It starts to add up real quick.
Yeah, I've done some silly stuff with like, a card called Urborg. Uh, I traded into them when they came out because I wanted them for different decks. They were worth 75 cents. Some they came out as standard, they were worthless. Suddenly, somebody did something in them with modern, they were worth $40 each.
So let me work. So talking about the volume of them, and because
Yes,
we mentioned
sorry,
that it's no. Just on this is because you said that their value went up to $40, right?
possibly
How
more.
do
Yeah,
you? This just seems like where a negative can come into play. Of all right, now we have scalpers because
yes,
every hobby
we do.
there is, and so how does Wizards try to counter that at all?
No, because it's so the basically Wizards sell the product.
Mm,
People like me, well, they'll sell it through shops. People like me will buy them and go, I actually like these cards. I'm going to save some. But other people, I know of people who will see a set come out and go, right, I'm going to buy 10 boxes of this set looking for this particular uncommon, common, rare, whatever, hold it for 6 months because I reckon in 6 months' time it'll be worth X amount of money. But then when you look at it, if you do it on the scale, some of them have done it. They bought £10,000 worth, or $10,000 worth of cards,
mm.
and then gone, huh? We have 200 of this card that is worth more than we invested. So, but also you can get a set worth nothing.
Mm.
So
It's
it
a
costs
gambit.
you, yeah. So it's one of those you can spend. I think you can buy them in the States for about $85, like a box booster box.
Yeah. So don't
Uh,
worry about being like conversion or anything. We are an international podcast, so we have all
no,
that.
most of my trading is done in dollars, so
Is it?
that's why I know. Yeah, it's either
Oh.
dollars or euros because no one wants to use the pound because we left EU.
um, so all right. So looking at that, then they are valuable items.
Can
You and
be,
I were
yes.
talking about this earlier about like because I did long time ago played back in basically when it was an alpha was back in 93 and that time frame I played and I had a Black Lotus and several of them I think, and so now they're gone, but that's one of those cards that's worth a lot of money because some of these cards are worth a stupid amount of money. I think the Black Lotus goes for around a half a million. I want
No,
to.
no, that was an inflated
Oh, was it? How much does it go for?
20 something thousand
Oh,
per card.
wow. Okay, so that was like a stupid rumor then. That's like the $25 million like Charizards and everything.
Yeah, it's actually gone to auction and sold for. I know that one went for $48,000,
Really? Good Lord.
but one.
Hmm.
Mostly they sell 20-ish. But it also
Still,
depends on,
for one piece of little biodegradable cardboard paper,
yeah.
it's ridiculously expensive.
But if pieces, I'm not much of an artist person,
Yeah.
but if a piece of canvas can be sold for 3 million quid because Gary from somewhere put some ink on it, why can't a piece of card?
You're right. No, you're absolutely right. I'm not arguing because the value is in the eye of the beholder. Case in point, I have 40K miniatures. It's legitimately plastic. Grand total, like I have an Imperial Knight that stands for about like 10 inches tall, 5 inches wide, probably a grand total of $7 worth of plastic. Like if we actually break it down to what plastic, and that's being very generous,
Mm-hmm.
uh, goes for $150. I paint that up and make it look nice. I can sell that for $300, and it was
Yes.
legitimately plastic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no, I won't. I don't want to take away the value of somebody's art. However, it's crazy in concept to think that the value that some items can hold, and you wouldn't even think about it that way.
Yeah, it's when you find out like the old cars were like £500 when they came brand new made, and it's now £500,000 to buy one. You're like, what? This is a second-hand car, right?
So it does, this game does get extremely competitive, and there are
Yes.
a lot of celebrities who even out there play it. I just actually found this out. Post Malone,
Yeah.
either owns a shop or is a adamant Magic the Gathering player.
Yeah, let's not put ourselves in with them, because there's probably way better celebs that play Magic.
I'm sure there are, but like I just found that out.
Any. See, I'd prefer Pol Pot playing Magic over Post Malone, but that's just mine. He was a horrible person.
A lot on it is on a competitive level. It is an extremely competitive game. Have you ever participated on, besides like your friendly local gaming store?
Yeah, a little bit.
A
little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's an online area where you can go and play Magic Arena. And my challenge at the moment is there's levels. There's Mythic, Diamond, Platinum, Gold. And then in Mythic, there's the top 1,500. And if you can get into the top 1,200, there's a competition you get invited to every month, or that month that you're in. So out of I think it's 4.2 million players, I can get myself ranked in the top 2,000. Might have been higher than that. I don't know.
So you're a little, you know a little bit about the game, just a little.
I've played once or twice. Yes, just once or twice. There's a story.
Do you have any good stories about any funny ones, or like just like?
I had one where I was at a tournament and my opponent cast a spell, and so I have my triggers, and anything that he triggers, he has to tell me about. So if he doesn't tell me about it, and I then go, well, you didn't tell me about it, but I know it happened, so I'm going to do it. He then called a judge on me and went, no, it's his trigger. He said, no, it's on your card. You triggered this event. You're supposed to tell him to do this. And then he kept being really stupid and putting his hand up to call judges over for the slightest infraction. And I don't even mean I've done anything wrong. I asked him a question. He refused to answer the question and called a judge over and said, he's asking me this question. He can't ask me this question. I'm like, so the judge there, so there's 3,500 people at this tournament. And unbeknownst to him, so he saw the judge that was behind me over my shoulder looking at what I was doing, but he didn't realize there was another judge over his shoulder watching what he was doing. I beat him 2-0, but I was livid, to say the least, just because he was being such a douchebag.
So I used to do competitive 40K, and I hated the micromanaging players, the players like that would do stuff like that. And I ended up actually not doing like ultra competitive. Like I do FLGS stuff. I am all about the FLG and supporting local. However, above that, that's where I draw the line.
See, if you want to play rules as written,
yeah,
I will play rules as written, literally verbatim. Do you know how many minor rules infractions even somebody who thinks they're playing by the rules does?
Oh, I'm sure thousands of them, hundreds.
At least 10 to 20 every turn.
And if
you start pointing out every single one of their minor rules infractions at a competitive tournament, the judge gets really annoyed with you and possibly takes you to one side and calls you a prick. Possibly. It becomes no fun for your opponent.
No.
But I was like, but you wanted to play rules as written and you kept breaking rules.
Where do you see the future of Magic going? Like in this, we live in a world of technology. how do you, I mean, I know it is online. Is it going to slowly traverse to completely online, or
I hope not, because I want to go back to doing. So the tournament I was on about, I actually managed to day two it
Hmm.
and got ranked in the top 400 of the 3,000 or something people that were there. So
nicely
I did
done?
all right.
Yeah, not too shabby.
Right. Then the online stuff is good. COVID has kind of accelerated its growth.
Hmm.
But there's tournaments starting back up again with big prizes, so you can go to a like large competitive tournament and win a couple of £1,000 worth of stuff. Or if you go to like they're not called GPs anymore, they're called Magic Fest. If you go to a Magic Fest, they have tournaments which then put you into the point where you can join the Pro Tour maybe, and you get shipped around places, paid money to turn up, and sponsors.
And you get
and
major sponsors too.
Yeah, the sponsors is
that's where it's at. Because you get people like Monster, Red Bull, and I mean Wizards stuff.
Red Bull or Monster will stick their name on anything. If you give me £50, I'll wear a Monster t-shirt. Here's £50. Or yeah. So, is it going to be on YouTube? Yes. Wicked.
I need to talk to Red Bull. Maybe I can get them to sponsor the podcast. Be like, hey, sponsored by Red Bull. Oh, love Red Bull. Not so much a Monster fan, though.
I love Red. How can you not like Monster? There's like
it's so syrupy. It's so syrupy tasty. The only ones there's one I like, and it's a rehab version. It's Monster Rehab, and it's like this peach tea style one or something like that.
Yellow one. It's lovely. Yeah.
That's the only one I like. The rest of them I can't stand. They're so syrupy tasting. That being said, if Monster sponsors me, I will love the crap out of those drinks. I will.
Look at me wearing Monster.
I love me some Monster.
I'm so glad people can't see what you were doing with your hands.
Woo! Jazz hands, all right? Any final thoughts with this? With Magic?
Like you said, with the way it's going, I do think more and more people are going to play online. But a lot of people play online to hone for playing in person.
Okay.
Because you can win, like I was saying, like serious money, or the opportunity. Like a tournament I went to, if you won the tournament, you got to go to another tournament in Hawaii, and you got your air and your travel and board paid for.
Nice. That's freaking amazing.
So you'd be there for a week, and that was the winning thing. So and you take your partner as well. So if you took your partner to Hawaii to a 4-star hotel and all the food and stuff was included, how much would that cost you?
I don't even want to think about it. I don't.
Thousands, tens of thousands,
so
whatever.
Much money.
Yeah. And that was the prize. So although then some places give away cash, like cold hard, here's a block of £5,000 or dollars or euros.
Whatever.
Yeah. Here. Now go away with your £5,000. Or what a lot of places will do to get around tax is the wrong statement. There's ways of getting around things. So if you trade goods, and you guys do this in the States, if you trade 2 goods, right, they can't tax that because it doesn't have a monetary value. Unless you put a monetary value to it, then they can tax it. So what they do is they quite often give you cards of a perceived monetary value instead of giving you winnings, so that there's possibly a way, so you don't have to declare it as an income. Oh, look, you gave me this nice Alpha Edition Volcanic Island. Thank you very much. Right? And the taxman goes, yeah, that's a volcanic island. Great. It's a piece of card. Sweet. Then you put it down and you go, right, how much is this volcanic island worth? £8,000. Thank you. So, yeah, it's although I can see a lot more people possibly playing it online, actually playing it in person, because there are prizes involved and Wizards of the Coast are still backing it a bit. So, like I said earlier, if you go to FNM, you go to FNM anywhere in the world. I forgot to mention you get promos. So you get like a little pack
That's
booster.
true, you do. Yeah.
Right. So they'll go, oh, here's your promo. And so that you'll go, if you're in the right deck for the color of promo that you get in that pack, that's a free card. Or it's one that you can trade to somebody else for $5-10 worth of cards. And all you've had to do is turn up for that. You've not had to win. You've literally turn up for it.
It's true. It's true. Very briefly.
Sorry, yeah.
No. What's the best way people can get started into this game if they're interested?
Right. So with the shop that I go to, there's a few of us who are relatively experienced, and some far more experienced than me. And if you talk to us, we will show you how to play and lend you decks. Is one way. So you can go, hey, my name's Paul, Barry, Sandra, whatever. I'd like to learn to play Magic, and you also get demo decks. I believe the shops get given periodically,
Okay.
So you can take them away for free. But literally walk in, go, I'd like to learn how to play Magic. Here's my email address. Bang, take it away, and off you go. And then the other way you can do it is if you don't want to borrow people's cards because you're clumsy, you don't want to accidentally get a drink on them or something. Usually, I think they're $25 or £20, depending on where you are. You can buy like pre-release decks or decks that come out each set, it's a playable. I wouldn't say it's a competitive deck. It's a constructed deck, so it's there. It does what it's supposed to do, and then for very little money, you can make it better.
Nice.
And so you can either borrow, beg, or don't steal. Don't steal. I can't. But yeah, so you'll find most. I have to say most gaming stores that you go in and ask questions, they will be helpful and answer your questions. As a fella, I never had any issues. I will forewarn some of the lady viewers of this that sometimes you go into a gaming shop and the people like cower behind the sort of stuff like, there's a girl. Generally, there's like one or two people in there that will talk to you like a human being. Find them as quickly as possible, and then they'll show you how to play, and just like they'll be all right. But it can be a little intimidating for new nerds or nerds of certain. But generally, if you're willing to play Magic and make stupid jokes, we don't care race, gender, or religion. Stupid jokes, fun to play against.
It's always fun. And I'm all about supporting our friendly local gaming stores too. That's always a good thing to do.
Yeah, get in there, play a game.
Heck yeah. Well, Pete, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. I think this is a great spot to wrap it up. Please like, subscribe, and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you are listening to us on Apple, please remember to rate and review. We're also on Instagram and Facebook, so please like and follow us at DNA Pod, and on Twitter at NerdDNA Pod, and on Twitch at NerdDNA Podcast. And as always, I'm Steve Pugh, and I was joined today with my wonderful, amazing, and my big spoon, Pete, over in the UK. Thank you so much, good sir.
You are welcome. And I'll be there to warm you up very soon.
Heck yeah. Thank you, and good night.